The following podcast is an older podcast from 2018. Please like and subscribe to hear future podcast episodes when they appear on YouTube. You can also hear the podcast by searching Sparkcast on any program that searches for podcasts, or go to geekaid.com. So, guys, I want to start with the summary of this episode for Transformers Season 1, Episode 4, because this was the first Transformers episode I ever saw, and the one I had on VHS tape.
It's a good episode.
It had Megatron on the inside a cave, standing over the Autobots with the guns pointed at him. I don't know how you could sell a VHS tape with guns being pointed at the young kid looking at it, but there you go. And then he's just, "Welcome to your doom, Autobots." Megatron finally gets in touch with Soundwave after all these years, who gives him the plans for intergalactic space bridge. An intergalactic transport system that is tethered together by a space bridge, I assume. They steal a lot of Energon cubes to create this space bridge, have some problems with it, eventually kidnap Bumblebee and Spike, and so they brainwash Bumblebee. He takes them to the wrong place so that the Decepticons can lay a trap, and they lay the trap thinking the Autobots are dead. But then, of course, what happens later is they escape, destroy all the Decepticons, free Spike and Bumblebee, and somehow explode Megatron into the space bridge, sending him to parts unknown.
Finally paving the way for the reign of Starscream.
The two Starscreams. This is the infamous first episode of the prolonged two Starscream on just one shot.
That was kind of hard to miss.
Yeah.
Okay, so that lasted about 10 seconds in one scene, and then he walks into the next scene.
Yeah.
So there's two Starscreams standing next to each other.
Yeah, I guess the first glimpse of that era, I was like, I guess that's not really Starscream. Then it changes to both of them standing in the shot, large and center in the middle of the frame. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. It's not even just like the colors are completely off. It's literally just a duplicate Starscream.
But then they turn around and it actually is, I think, Skywarp or Thundercracker flying off beside him from behind.
You know, just had some color problems. It's fine.
But on to our first subject, Season 5, Generation 2.
Striving to save the world from the evil Decepticons, the heroic Autobots are led by Optimus Prime. He's more than meets the eye. He's a robot in disguise.
There's no Season 5 episode. There is a Generation 2 episode. And I did watch the Japanese episode before coming here, and I found out something really interesting. Did you know in Japan, the word for intergalactic transport system is intergalactic transport system?
Wow.
Was it like patented or something?
Though I did find the only cut scene, they always have to cut about a minute and a half to two from every episode. They cut the roll call for their toy show where they want you to know who everybody's name is.
It's fine. It's Japan. They'll sell the robots anyway.
The funniest thing, though, is Megatron kept talking to Shockwave, and I found out in Japan his name is Laserwave.
Why? Why the change?
It wasn't 80s enough, Shockwave. They needed something to represent the times and the cool kids. All the different designs and stuff people had on their Trapper Keepers.
Well, remember, most of the names were already made in Japan because the toys were over there first. Most of the names were changed when they came over to America. For whatever reason, they think American audiences would like stuff like that better. Who knows?
Was that like that from the start? Were there a bunch of toys in Japan before the show was even aired?
Yeah, that's how they could make money, because they already knew the toys were over there and they could just import them into America, I think. Maybe I should shut up before I get like tons of hate mail from Transformers fans.
I thought it was just like one big project. The toys were just right on the heels of the cartoon.
Yeah, I thought it still started in America.
No, the cartoon and all the lore and everything was, but they made the lore around... The figures already existed without any personality or backstory. They were just figures only.
Oh.
It was the American writers that then
saw those toys and was like, we should make a show based on...
Yeah, and then gave them all personalities. Let's start off with what we liked and didn't like about this episode.
Me, Grimlock, no like you!
Well, I guess the first thing I didn't like about this episode, which will also be my first answer to episode 5, is Cliffjumper.
You mean the guy who's so devastated by war, he sees enemies everywhere. The war's been over for 5 months, and he's like, Decepticons, they're behind the bushes, they're behind the rocks.
I mean, is that what's wrong with him? He's just got psychological issues, and he isn't just
he's
bloodthirsty?
He's got some PTSD. He's got PTSD, like, come on. He's he's had some years in him, all right?
I know, that's not good enough. Like the beginning, sure, I can believe that he's jumping at shadows and all that stuff. But when there are literally Decepticons in front of him, he forgets all his training, all the discipline that Optimus is trying to instill into these guys who aren't really like war veterans and stuff. And he just, I guess in this episode, I guess they go and they find out what the Decepticons are doing, and they burst through the window, and he goes straight towards Megatron.
A guy twice his size.
And he doesn't even try to shoot him or anything. He tries to take Megatron on with his bare hands. It's like
he attacks his leg, doesn't he? He's just like, because he's just so tiny.
I think it's because he saw the war was starting again. He thought it was finally over. He was trying to get himself killed to get out of the war.
This is ridiculous. This is why the Autobots, they really are just a bunch of a ragtag group of nobodies. Because I guess in the original miniseries, the first 3 episodes, Hound was also kind of doing the same thing, or somebody else that was with Hound spying on the Decepticons when they were building the base, and somebody just shot at them, and that's how they made Laserbeak chase after them because they're so bloodthirsty. They just keep they have no discipline. They are always just doing the wrong thing,
disobeying Optimus Prime's orders.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's a Starscream.
Yeah. Autobots and Decepticons, I mean, I guess they have factions. They'll just keep attacking each other. Within fighting, out fighting.
The thing I like, though, is they actually had a roll call, and it actually worked. Everyone named was in order from right to left, so you could follow who everyone was.
I do love how one of the smaller, minor characters looked over at Bumblebee and was like, "You're late again."
Yeah, I was like, who is this guy giving him crap? One of the main characters.
Yeah, this is the reason why you're not a main character. Get out of here.
I think who you're talking about, Gears.
Was it Gears? Okay, cool.
Gears is my most hated Transformer,
Can't
Autobot.
stand him.
But here he didn't have the same voice actor. And he didn't have his personality from the first pilot or later episodes. I was like, what is going on? His model even looked a little off. So I was like, I don't know. I'm going to wait till I see him again before I start out with my, oh my god, Gears is awful.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize him at first. I really just thought, I was like, oh, every episode I see somebody I don't recognize. Well, I guess this is just what they do. They just introduce new robots. Some of them get a plot point. Some are just there in the line telling off other Autobots.
Just gotta sell those toys.
So I think there's somebody else who also looks like Gears, where they have a big plate right behind their head.
Brawn?
Yeah, Brawn, yeah. I think some of Transformers, there's characters that they license from other companies. There's Transformers that were originally part of other toy lines, right?
Oh my god.
Shockwave, one of them?
Yeah, Shockwave was one, but I don't know. I think the original Transformers, the entire first season line is actually from Takara, though, in Japan, except for Shockwave. It would be later. They would bring toys over that they wouldn't make into the show because they didn't want to advertise other toy companies in Japan if they showed up on the show. Okay. So there would be some figures that would be released in America but would never actually be on the show.
Okay. So yeah, the only reason I bring that up is because those two just look so drastically different. Just the anatomy of them are just a lot different than the way even the Decepticons are designed.
I didn't really dislike anything. I mean, other than the general stupidity of everybody just makes me laugh. It's still not really a dislike. It's just why? My favorite part is that there's 2 Starscreams, and I think it's the first time he does the whole line of Megatron's dead, now I Starscream lead the Decepticons.
Yeah, I started cheering.
But yeah, no, it's the best. Good.
We were saying so many stupid things here, we won't even have to do the stupid moment segment. Something I really liked about this episode was the increase in the animation quality.
What?
Yes.
Yes. You didn't notice that the animation was crisper than the pilot. Stuff was more detailed for the Autobot designs, and the fighting was actually really fluid compared to some of the fights in the pilot.
Just one Transformer just gets punched in the back of the head by Skywarp, and it was just the funniest thing. The whole animation of that whole scene was pretty smooth compared to some of the other stuff. The Autobots were drop kicking Soundwave and stuff like that.
But the one thing you notice when Bumblebee's escaping, the camera pans from the front to the center above, then back to the left, then around the corner. That all had to be hand drawn, that entire scene. That was actually really impressive for a TV animation.
Yeah, that was definitely more complicated than some of the stuff we saw in the other episodes.
And even the space bridge. The space bridge is like a giant light that explodes, sucks in wind and rocks and maybe even you, and then explodes into vibrant light. Jesus.
It's a lot of work for like those 5 seconds.
They put in a lot of detail with that one.
Yup.
I did like Shockwave's dramatic entrance, my favorite Transformer. Shockwave, Guardian of Cybertron. He gets his own title entrance, you know.
So good. I do want to make an amendment to the last episode. Speaking of Shockwave, I just want to say it's the second voice of Ludwig von Drake and not the first voice that does Shockwave. His name is Corey Burton. Just wanted to clarify, and yeah.
Don't piss off the Transformers fans.
I'm going to piss off the Duck fans.
Though I thought it was weird that Shockwave was like, I've built this interstellar transportation system. I've had it in my head for like, a few million years. I've just never had anyone else on this planet to test it with because I'm all alone up here.
4 million years. 4 million.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
You can only make it work for 4 minutes.
No,
sorry, 11 minutes. Something. It had some kind of time limit, and I was sitting here thinking, like, you had 4 million years to fix this problem. You could just make it perfect in 4 million years.
It was all theoretical. You had to test it first.
I mean, his battery was low, too, so maybe he was going out of commission 1.5 million every now and then or something.
He could have tested it at a nearby planet, gotten some energon there, restored himself, kept working on it. There are a lot of things he could have done in those 4 million years.
He could have went to another planet and got like some other life form to help him or enslave or somebody.
I mean, yeah, they all went in one spaceship. There's got to be more spaceships left.
There has to be. There had to be something. Like Shockwave, you're a scientist. Build another spaceship.
I have something for you guys. All right, so let's say, Thomas, Sammi, I call you both up, right? And you just ignore me. I call you the next day, and you ignore me again, because maybe you don't want to talk to me, or maybe you just have decided that I don't want to be friends with this person anymore, or this person's annoying, this person's stalking me, and then I call you every day for the next 4 years, and you never pick up.
Are you trying to imply that there's something wrong with Soundwave? See, I was going to say that for him to be doing all this and to be so excited for Megatron to actually answer and stuff like that, and Megatron calling him the Guardian, I was like, Soundwave, he actually seems like the most loyal Decepticon there is compared to Soundwave. But then the way that you're trying to make him play out to be just like he's desperate, he's just too clingy or
lonely.
Something like that.
He was just very lonely. Okay, we just went over this point that he's the only one there for some stupid reason.
Well, later found out that there's female Autobot resistance force on the planet that are always fighting him. That's the only thing left on Cybertron, so he really has no one else to communicate with.
Please, Megatron, I just need to hear your voice one more time.
It was pretty funny. The first lines he was speaking, he did seem he was getting ready to die like any minute. He just sounded so weak and stuff.
He hears Megatron's voice and he's like, I am alive again. I can speak like a normal robot.
Megatron is life.
He has that tattooed on his chest.
So, did you guys see how the Energon cubes worked this episode? Starscream just sticks a wire into the Energon cube and boom, instant transfer to Energon.
That was another question I had, because I don't understand what Energon is and how they can just keep taking it from all these different energy sources, but like they're all different energy sources.
See, they're really advanced. Like, we can't make a game system, a PS4 that plays PS3 games. But the Transformers, they can transfer any energy into any energy they want.
Well, I guess when I first they are really just containers. I guess from Beast Wars,
magical containers.
They are magical because you can like squash them and stuff. What are they actually like made of themselves?
How do you know they aren't made of the same material that Astro Train is made of, who shrinks and increases in size from a Transformer to, a giant ship that can carry other Transformers?
Or, Soundwave transforming into a tiny cassette tape that'll fit in your pocket.
Well, he's got other tiny cassette tapes inside him that have to shrink with him.
I mean, they're still pretty impressive because they're completely transparent on top of that. And, I mean, it still is just
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes none. Nobody thought about this.
I'm going to interject with a fun fact.
Dark, excessive, time, liberty.
Megatron attacks a solar power station in 1984, right? Like,
oh,
I had to look this
yeah.
up. So What ideal alternate timeline is this Earth on that we have solar power stations everywhere? But apparently,
I mean, that is pretty kind of crazy when you think about it.
Here's the thing. The very first solar energy generating system, SEGS, was actually made in the Mojave Desert in California in 1984. Oh, yeah.
That's a little nice history
like
fact
a big
there.
Deal. Yeah, they must have been talking about that in the news and stuff like that.
That's neat.
So Ironhide jumps in front of Optimus to save him, and Optimus does the same. But no, Hot Rod does that in the movie, and everybody hates him. You know?
I'm very upset by this. Today, this is going to be a slight sidetrack. My awesome buddy got me a Masterpiece Hot Rod, and I've been nonstop talking about Hot Rod today, and it's the movie version.
Is that
so
the
I
one
got
with the fishing rod and all that other stuff?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's the only one I want.
It's the best, and he can actually sit and do the fishing pose and thing, and like none of my other robots actually can properly sit, for one thing.
I am so confused right now. You guys are getting excited about a fishing mode?
You saw this. We
Yes.
went to the Transformers convention, and I told you that was the only one I wanted to buy.
But I didn't. What fishing mode? What is? Why does he have a fishing rod? And you guys are excited about the fishing rod? I'm so confused. I've never. Did this happen in the movie that I watched? Did I just didn't even notice this?
He's fishing with Daniel at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, okay.
So
All right. I
I
guess
think
I just did forget.
Does it come with a Daniel too? I can't remember.
It does not, but it does come with a matrix that it is really hard to put it in his hand. But yeah, anyways, I was having conversations with my coworkers, and half of them were like, "Oh no, man, Rodimus like screwed that up." And then I was like, "No, Rodimus he was perfect, he was fine, he was trying his best." And only one other person agreed with me, and I was so upset. That was my slight tangent.
And it's also it's actually called Hot Rodimus, the figure, instead of Hot Rod or Rodimus.
I think no, on the box it still says Hot Rod.
Oh, okay. That's what I remember the title's saying.
Oh my god, now I gotta go check again.
I have one other good thing I want to say about this episode, which, I mean, maybe, hopefully, there'll be something else like that. I guess based on what I've seen, there's probably never going to be another time like this. But towards the end of the episode, when the Autobots were rescuing Daniel, Spike.
Daniel's his future kid from the movie.
They were rescuing Spike from the space bridge transport. Optimus twists the barrel of his gun, and it narrows and expands as he's adjusting it. And then he shoots 3 bolts.
Yes.
The most precise shots you will ever see. I'm going to say that right now without even seeing most of Transformers. There'll probably never be any more accurate shots than those. He shoots the transport, doesn't destroy it, doesn't break the glass. He just simply shoots it and it unlocks the canopy. But then the last 2 shots he shoots, he doesn't hit Spike at all. He just hits the seatbelts that are restraining him and allows him to escape. Every other shot, there's millions of shots that have been shot throughout this series, and they are so off. But then he just manages, he just adjusts his gun. Why don't the other guys do the same thing?
He was just an awesome sharpshooter. In fact, I was tempted to make a new segment called Badass Optimus Prime Moments, because he can shoot something so small like a seatbelt strap on a human.
On a moving, on a moving vehicle. That actually, technically, probably wasn't even facing him. It was facing away from him. Because the transport, I guess I don't know where they were standing for him to do that.
Based on the scene, they were either in the canyon or on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to give him props for that.
Yeah, I actually felt this episode was really fast-paced, but at the same time, it had a lot of good slow moments, too. Like, you got to see Ratchet and Ironhide repair, and then the Autobots just kind of chilling, talking about stuff to show, just have character moments. Stuff you don't normally get in even Hollywood movies most of the time.
I miss character moments just like in general.
Yeah, definitely you could use stuff like that, especially if you want to sell all the toys and not just Optimus and Megatron. As I was watching it, I was like, man, I guess this show still kind of holds up because it's moving at a good pace. There's the time to actually appreciate and learn about the other Autobots and Decepticons. This doesn't seem that bad at all. I mean, if you're going to criticize it, I would criticize, the animation or something like that. But even that was a step up. So
not this episode. The next one.
So far, or at least episode 4, just seemed like, this is a completely watchable show in 2018.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm glad it holds up now. I mean, I can't speak of, nostalgia because I've only watched G1 5 years ago or something, and now I'm rewatching it. But I don't know, it has its very specific charm that isn't repeated in nowadays shows, it's refreshing.
Trying something new, trying to make it a thing, and not just, I want to say that it's not just, cribbing on what other shows are doing, that they're not just simply following the same formula, but I guess in a way they kind of are. I mean, there's a lot of shows that are like, here's the set of heroes, here's the set of villains, always going up against each other. I mean, G.I. Joe is right there.
Yeah.
So I still get that vibe.
A lot of shows also would do the monster of the week thing. And I don't think Transformers ever does that. Actually, I guess I take that back. 'Cause in the 80s, they did focus more on the adventure stuff, right?
Well, yeah, I remember watching. I got all 10 seasons of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
I bought them as they came out over the last decade, and I remember
congrats, dude,
being excited to watch season 1, season 2, season 3, and then when seasons 4 and 5 came out, they were not very engaging. Like, it was hard to watch more than 2 episodes in a row because it was just every episode was the exact same thing. It was, hey, we've invented this energy, now Shredder's gonna steal it. For some reason, even though Transformers almost seems to have the same premise for a few episodes, but even the ones that are the same premise do different things with it.
Very different things. There is no Transformer episodes that I can be like, oh yeah, these two are just the same exact thing with a different coding. Transformers is just, it feels like a new episode every time.
They're trying to tell just one big story that kind of adds and adds with each episode instead of just, here are the adventures. I mean, the show isn't so complicated that you would tell somebody that you can't just jump in and watch a random episode, but... Yeah. But, I mean, it does seem like there are some elements that you could look at and say, yeah, this foundation was built in previous episodes.
You definitely can't skip season 2 straight to season 3 in terms of, like, being in episodes. Once you get to season 3, you're just like, wait, what happened to half the robots?
Yeah, I tried to do that, and I was just so confused. I didn't know what was going on. I just watched random episodes of just old shows every now and then. The Quintessons or something like that. Is that in season 3? Or... Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw those, and I was super confused. It's their existence and stuff.
Well, we can get to that much later.
But, we're going to just keep bringing up the movie.
I want to tell you something that a young Shawn learned back when he watched this episode. Megatron is blown up into the space bridge. Everyone's like, oh yeah, cheers, Megatron's gone forever, again. It was this time that Shawn learned of a new storytelling device. The twist ending for Megatron was alive.
Yep.
I completely forgot about him. As soon as I saw him go up in there and it seemed he was just kind of dead. All right, go. This is your stance, Starscream. I was like, immediately, just cut the Starscream. and he kind of had the same vibe. He's like, oh, he's gone. Let's get out of here. I'm the leader. Come on, let's go. Just left him behind. Didn't even try to see if there was anything they could do to get him out. Just left him.
Yeah, no, Starscream saw his opportunity and took it.
Now let's begin with animation errors. The first one I thought was really funny is when Soundwave is sneaking into the building. The employee is black, then he becomes white, is black again, and then is white again.
I missed that.
Yeah, I was like,
I totally missed that too.
This is either a poor attempt at shading or just different animators did different
was
shots.
Was he changing?
No idea why.
That's weird.
It's his superpower to just...
The funniest thing was Megatron turns into a gun and just assumes Starscream knows what to do with it, blow up the cave. But right after he transforms, his entire dialogue is spoken, Megatron's, and not a single lip flap moves. That was the animation errors. Did you guys spot any others?
We brought the Starscream up like a million times. No, I don't think they did that bad this episode.
So, main characters.
Hey boys, we're gonna be movie stars!
Do you think that Bumblebee and Spike are the main characters because they were the focus? Because you don't have to have a character arc to be the main character. You can be the focus of the episode. Or was it just plot all over the place and they just happened to be stuck inside of it?
The latter. I just don't see them as they were the plot point, but it's still focused. I would actually say the Decepticons were more of the main character.
I'd agree with that.
Because they're the ones who are doing everything in this episode, while the Autobots are kind of the reaction to them.
The Decepticons building a space bridge, and sometimes these people try to stop them.
Yeah. Actually, you could just name all of Transformers that.
Really focusing on both sides, actually, because they're all talking about what they're gonna do. So it's not essentially just only following the Autobots. So Starscream's blunders and stupid moments.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm not like the others. I do what I want when I want.
Were there any in this episode? I didn't notice anything.
I don't think there are any ever, actually.
Starscream didn't do anything that helped the Autobots win this episode, so his ratio is now 4-4.
You were keeping track.
Yes, I am. So
He's just tried his hardest.
Not only is he trying his hardest, he succeeds, okay?
Did he try when
He succeeded for 10 seconds.
at the beginning of the episode, he's like, Autobots, run for cover. That's your heroes, guys, cowering in the face of fear. And then later...
He was running to get in a better position, okay? His hands were full. He didn't have his weapon in his hand, okay? He was trying to get cover. Why would you stand out in the open? He's smart, okay? He knows how to fight.
But then at the end of the episode, he says, retreat, I would never do that, when he just did it earlier that episode.
He would never do that. And I like how you skip over the part. He captures Spike. He captures him and Bumblebee.
Yep.
You got to give him some credit for that.
He did a good job.
Yes, exactly. And he tells Megatron, and Megatron doesn't give him any like positive
No,
reinforcement.
he complimented him.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. He said, good job, Starscream. And but then Starscream is actually confused as to why Megatron's out there, because he's like, I'm gonna do this. He's like not even reveling in the fact that his boss praised him. He's just, I wanted to do this on my own.
Well, there was
You
one
don't have
part.
to watch over me, Dad.
There was one part where he said something about, it doesn't matter what you do, I can never trust you, or something like that. It's just like, come on,
Both
man.
of them said that.
Starscream doesn't trust Megatron in the next episode, whereas Megatron doesn't trust Starscream in this one.
But this is why the Decepticons are so dysfunctional.
Because of Megatron.
No, just because both of them can't trust each other, so they're constantly at each other's throats.
Megatron started first.
Fair. I will agree with this.
The thing I find hilarious is that Spike's like, can I go on this dangerous one-man spy mission? Hey Optimus, can I bring this underage human flesh creature? Sure. I told him he needed his father's permission to go into space, but, I can act out a character this time.
I kept
like,
thinking
it'll be
about
fine.
that. Why do they just keep having this kid hang around and get in these situations that put them at a disadvantage and stuff like that? I was just like,
As a kid, I actually watched this, but I never questioned that at the time. It was just accepted. Everyone could do everything. The kids, the adults, the giant robots.
There are no rules in Transformers.
I mean, his father's there the whole time. He sees what's going on, and he just lets it happen. His dad, Sparkplug, he's a bad father.
Oh my god, Robots in Disguise is the only one where the next time the parents actually know what the hell is going on. Every time it happens in the future, in the manga, in the comics, in most of the comics, and in the later animations, it's always that the kids' parents don't know what's going on, and only the kids know.
Well, in animated and in Prime, the parents know.
Well, yeah, well, it's much
half of
later
Prime.
in Prime. It's like season 2.5 or something that they find out.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, towards the end.
At some point, they do, though.
Yeah, but I guess with this, I did notice that too, where it seemed like Autobots were just known, at least throughout the region, because they flew to some base, and the guy was like,
This next episode.
Oh.
Alright, but, so, I have probably the stupidest moment that we've seen in Transformers so far. Bumblebee is captured in that little ship with Spike. Spike's like, man, I wish our luck would change. And Bumblebee's like, change? Holy expletive, I'm a Transformer. I could just change into a vehicle, accelerate and ram my way out. Thanks, Spike.
How did you forget this? And also in his excitement, couldn't pick up Spike and put him in the car and then drive off.
yeah, I was going to say, how is that smart or anything? That was
Spike's
just the
just
dumbest
running.
thing ever. It was the slowest escape ever. You leave them. It was weird at first because Spike is like running at the same speed as Bumblebee. Is Spike running really fast or are they going really slow? But it seems like they're going really slow because Ravish is just right on them. It's just like, why didn't you pick them up and drive faster? This is dumb.
Did you guys see any other stupid moments that pop out in this episode?
During the last fight, or not the last fight, but the fight in the cave, Megatron shoots Optimus or whatever, and or shoots his foot out of the stone pile or whatever, and the smoke comes up, I guess. Not even 5 seconds, Megatron loses sight of Optimus, and I'm like, how? How? He was right there, you shot it, and then Optimus flies off into the distance and is suddenly behind you.
I'm right behind you. And I was confused too. I was like, how did you lose him? He was right there. You didn't notice him get behind you in this cave?
It's a cave. There are not many places you can hide.
Oh my god. I thought it was pretty dumb that was their plan, was to lure them to the cave, seal off the entrance and just have a battle. As if, why didn't you like do a real ambush and like shoot them in the back or just close them in the cave yourself or something? Make the whole cave collapse?
Hey, you gotta have that action scene between every commercial break, okay?
Oh my God.
Right.
So, you didn't see the last stupid moment that involved Starscream, Thomas?
I don't think there was anything else.
It wasn't Starscream himself. He shoots a laser at Jazz, who picks up a stalactite and whacks Starscream's laser back at him with like a baseball bat.
I'm not gonna put that on Starscream.
No, it's just the moment. I'm like, how does that work?
Well, yeah, because I was going to say that just seems like some dumb comedic writing from the writers or something. This is completely out of place for the show.
Well, it's like a metal reflecting it, like in that book we read. I can understand, but cave material,
just a rock.
A rock
after Megatron just blew up a rock.
It was a very reflective rock. It had some diamonds in it or something. That's my excuse.
They must be terminated.
For deleted audio, I really didn't find anything interesting for this deleted audio this time. I think it was just the beginning.
Optimus Prime! All systems are ready for tomorrow's launch to Cybertron. At last we can return home.
That was actually going to place that in retcons, because I was like, well, hey, they said they were going to go back to Cybertron, they never left. I was like, were they just waiting to double check for Decepticon bodies, or did they leave, come back, and hey, now we know.
Do they have the capability to go back?
Since this scene was cut out, we assume they never do for the entire season.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it's probably good that it was deleted, and I don't know why it was recorded in the first place. I mean, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would they? It just makes the whole point of the show completely. It just throws it all into question.
Yeah.
That was the only one I thought worth mentioning because it was part of the question I already had. I don't think we need to do Megatron's energy. We've talked about the solar power already. Anything else you guys want to say before we go into character spotlight?
No.
Alright, so the character spotlight of Bumblebee. He's the yellow transformer that's half the size of a normal one that turns into a VW Beetle that is now widely known to the world due to his appearance in the Transformers live-action movies. Bumblebee quote, "The least likely can be the most dangerous." Bumblebee description. Small, eager, and brave, Bumblebee acts as a messenger and spy. Due to his small size, he dares to go where others can't and won't. He idolizes the bigger Autobots, especially Optimus Prime and Prowl, and strives to be accepted. He's the most energy efficient and has the best vision of all the Autobots. Really? The best vision?
Do they mean the vision as in his eyes or his vision of the future?
It better not be his eyes, because Sammi, I just put my head into my hands. I couldn't believe that was a line especially after watching this episode, because there was some stuff that we didn't bring up that I was like, oh my God.
Did you need a Bumblebee's stupid moments category added for this episode?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. Yeah. I'm sure there's probably going to be more with with him being like a main character that they're trying to force upon us.
He can go underwater for reconnaissance and salvage missions. Although physically the weakest Autobot, his stealth more than compensates for this inadequacy. I'm sorry, but if he can go underwater...
Yes, exactly. Bring it up.
What?
And I like his stealth is to fall backwards into the Decepticons. That's his stealth.
It's fine. It was totally... I don't even know. I got nothing.
I just think it's sacrilegious that Bumblebee has more toys than any Transformer in the original Season 1 line. More than Optimus Prime, more than Starscream or Megatron.
More toys that are in that line, or more toys?
More toys like a different version.
Oh, okay.
I'm just, wow. They're counting all 8 years of Transformers, G1 to G2.
I mean, everyone loved Bumblebee. He was, like, tiny and cute. Like, can't blame them.
Are all three of us not like Bumblebee?
I mean, I don't hate him. I don't see any reason to like him.
Oh, no, it's just like ambivalent? Is that what we all are agreeing on?
I mean, I guess he's a quote-unquote main character, but, I mean, what does he do? Why?
He's really good at driving Spike around. He's really good at being late for roll call.
So you guys don't really have any thoughts about him then, too much?
I mean, at this point, no. I don't. I mean, especially with me never having seen these episodes and watching these for the first time, I don't see any reason why he's special or anything. All he's done is just take care of the human and drive the human around. He basically stole. And he's the backup, because didn't Jazz do it initially at first? Somebody drove
Yeah, Jazz was driving him in the city in the beginning.
And I think Hound drove.
Jazz
No,
quit.
Jazz
Jazz was like,
quit.
I'm not taking care of this human.
They're like, get him off my back. Here, you take him.
Yeah.
He doesn't like my music. Get him out of here.
Wait, I still function.
He survives the movie, despite being swallowed by Unicron along with Cybertron's moon. How? In season 3, he is injured and rebuilt into Goldbug by a Quintesson. He returns in the Japanese Hitmasters cartoon from time to time. Then, when he was injured protecting middle-aged Spike, he was rebuilt yet again back into Bumblebee. All right.
I just love reading these out of context for Thomas without referencing where any of this is coming from.
Well, I wanted to get through reading it before I asked a question. I wanted to ask a question after each sentence because a lot of stuff there just seemed ridiculous. After each sentence, instead of a period, they should just put why, because that's what I want to know. Okay.
I love how I'm sitting here
How
and
did
I'm
he
just
not
like, oh, yeah,
die
that makes
by
total
getting swallowed
perfect
by
sense.
Unicron?
Well, you see, Kron eats people. They go in an assembly line, and so they go in the order that they were eaten into his giant digestive tract, and and it takes about 3 to 5 days to get there.
I can't tell if you're serious. Like, this could actually be a thing, and I'm like, okay, that's Transformers. I just need to move past it.
I was just trying to come up with a plausible explanation on the spot right now, actually.
Honestly, that was perfect.
Okay.
I was about to say, I'm just like, oh no, that was totally from the movie.
Sammy was almost believing me, right?
Okay, so I guess his next sentence isn't, this one can end with a period and not why. In season 3, he was built and rebuilt into Goldbug by Quintesson. Okay, so that seems okay. But I don't get after that where he's injured and rebuilt yet again, and they turned him back into Bumblebee.
He didn't.
Why,
He was tired of being Goldbug.
Yeah.
but why not be something better than just Bumblebee? Bumblebee...
Sometimes you just want to go back to being yourself.
Never question story decisions from the Japanese, all right?
I mean, also Bumblebee sold more toys, probably.
Oh my god. I forgot the major retcon would have been, why can the Autobots not fly anymore?
Oh, this would be the first episode without them actually being able to fly?
Well, we'll get to that. We can do that next episode, because 2 Autobots do fly, and then they never do again. Well, and now, Thomas will not be able to sleep at night because of all the questions he has about Bumblebee. We're going to let him sleep that off, and we'll leave you for now.
Put it right in a box. Don't ever open that box again. Just right to the attic. Sealed with super glue.
And this is Shawn signing off.
Thomas?
Sammy.
Good night. I don't know why I said good night.
It's fine. They know we're filming it at night now.
Thanks for YouTube user Transformers at the Moon for hosting every deleted audio segment from every episode of The Transformers. Thanks to tfwiki.net for information used in our character spotlight feature. Thomas, you want to lead us off with this episode this time?
Yeah, I guess.
Doesn't sound very enthusiastic. Sammy, go. Welcome to another episode of our Transformers podcast with Shawn,
Thomas,
Sammy.
and today we're going to start with the summary. Wait, quiet.
Sorry.